Today on the show, we're going to be looking at Dazzler. What's her real name? Where did she come from? And is her power even all that useful? We're going to find out right here. My name's Faust, this is Exploring Comics, and it's super effective. Dazzler, Daz, Ali, Alison, the Disco Dazzler. These are all names that Dazzler has been called in the past. But why was she called that? And where did she come from? And why was she made to begin with? So Dazzler was commissioned by Casablanca Records. There was going to be a comic book character, a singer, and a live-action movie all about the same persona. So originally Dazzler was going to be called the Disco Queen and have the power to make people tell the truth. Obviously, no artist in their right mind wanted anything to do with that, so Marvel had the idea of going to Tom DeFalco, and they were like, hey, here's a character idea, do a thing. And he did that thing. He came up with the idea of giving her light-based powers. To promote Dazzler, Casablanca had the idea of putting Dazzler in various comic book series. Those series included the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man. She first appeared in the Uncanny X-Men issue 130. All this being said, even after the promotional period, Casablanca kept trying to change various things about Dazzler, and it just didn't go well, which led to Dazzler being cancelled several times. However, eventually Casablanca pulled out of the project, which left Marvel with a very, very heavily promoted character, and they could do anything they wanted with it, so they made it into their very own monthly series. So Dazzler #1 was very, very heavily edited. It featured changes to Dazzler's story and her format. Let me give you an example. Before, Dazzler was only about 17 pages. However, since Marvel fully owned Dazzler now, they changed her to a 22-page publication. And also, they gave her a backstory, like an origin story, to give the character some kind of feeling and emotional drive, which, you know, she was kind of depraved of before. Also, any ties with the disco genre were semi-cut, just because Marvel felt like that genre was dying, which it was. Side note, Dazzler was the first ever comic book series to be sold exclusively to comic book shops. She had a pre-sale of 400,000 copies. That was more than double the average of the time. It's super effective! So by now you're probably thinking, well, who is Dazzler? Well, I'm going to tell you. Alison Blair, born in Long Island, New York, to Carter and Catherine Blair. Now, it's important to note that while Carter was a really down-to-earth law student, like he saw work and he got it done and he set out goals and tasks that needed to get done, Catherine was a free spirit and an entertainer. And obviously this is a huge personality conflict, which just kind of led Catherine to one day up and leave. This of course left Carter to raise young Alison with only the help of his mother, Bella. Carter really never got over Catherine leaving. So when Alison expressed that she wanted to become a performer, he was just like, hell no you're not, you're gonna become a mini-me, and he put her on the road to going to law school. However, Bella always encouraged Alison to explore her creative needs and urges. One time at a middle school dance, Alison was performing, having the time of her life, and her powers were just like, hey, we're manifesting ourselves now, and she ended up blinding everyone in the audience. She kept her powers secret for years, but obviously this caused her to alienate herself from her father even more. By the time Alison was in university, she'd already begun to explore her powers and her musical ability. She made herself this awesome performing suit and accessories and called herself the Dazzler. And when she told her father, you know what, I'm gonna abandon your dream for me and follow my dream for me, which is to be a performer, he was like, hell no you're not, and she was like, hell yes I am, so she chased her dream without her father's consent or financial aid. Alison had the idea to use her powers as part of her act. She'd absorb the sound from the music that she was singing, and then release it as light waves as the song went on. Of course this made her power seem a little bit gimmicky, but it worked, and she managed to land several big gigs in New York. When questioned, she'd just simply say, my powers, well they're a technological secret. Of course, mutants wouldn't believe that, and she quickly caught the attention of Emma Frost, the White Queen of the Hellfire Club, and Professor Xavier. Obviously, both sides wanted Dazzler for themselves, and while the X-Men sent Phoenix, Nightcrawler, and Cyclops to go and talk to Dazzler and convince her over nicely, the Hellfire Club sent a bunch of Hellfire Knights to try and take her by force. It was only by the combined effort of the X-Men and Dazzler that they were able to defeat the Hellfire Knights. They also in the process managed to save all the X-Men that were currently held captive by the Hellfire Club. So after all these events, the X-Men turned around to Dazzler and was like, "Hey, you want to join our team?" And Dazzler was just kind of like, "Hey, sorry, no, I'm a singer, not a fighter." And that is such an important key part of Dazzler's character, is that she is a light bringer, not only in her power, but her personality. With light comes love, and she just wants to spread all the love that she can give about, regardless of what people have done in their past. She just wants to make people happy. This first night, however, seemed to serve as a catalyst. You see, the more she grew in the club circuit, the more she grew in the superhero circuit. One night, she was possessed by Lightmaster, and Spider-Man came to her rescue. And another night, while performing in a bit of a posh club, she became very acquainted with the Human Torch. Of course, being involved with superhero adventures when you don't want to be is incredibly stressful. So Alison took the advice of Beast and took a break. While on this break, she auditioned for and won a competition at an upcoming nightlife spot, Numero Uno. In this competition, she did actually manage to best Enchantress though, which, you know, come on, if you're gonna be anyone, make sure it's not a bad guy, let alone a powerful one. So Enchantress, being the vindictive bitch that she is, vowed revenge on Dazzler. The club quickly filled up with all of Alison's superhero friends, but Enchantress, to counter this, summoned a whole bunch of minions. The fight turned out to be so much bigger than it needed to be. However, in the end, it was Alison herself who sealed Enchantress away. All this is well and good because the day was saved, but Alison's performance was ruined. It's super effective! Being the strong, independent woman that she is, she just decided, let's crack on, and she did, and she managed to land herself a very good agent, Harry Osgood. Harry managed to land her a gig at the UN Summit. However, while there, who should turn up but Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom was looking for these Jewels of Doom, and one just happened to be there. It was called the Merlin Stone, and it was on display in the UN. After a battle and being thrust into the Nightmare Dimension to retrieve another Jewel of Doom, she managed to defeat Dr. Doom and destroy both jewels. She was left unconscious by Dr. Doom though. However, Johnny Storm came to save her. Also, the day was saved again, but at the cost of her career. So the next key event in Dazzler's life is when Harry questioned her on her technological secret. Obviously, she acted all offended and just stormed out of his office. Soon after this, Harry was kidnapped by the Enforcers at the command of Techmaster. Obviously, Alison made it her personal mission to go and save Harry, and she did. She told the truth to Harry, and he accepted her totally and said, "Don't worry, babe, I'll keep your secret." And that made her so happy. I mean, wouldn't it make you happy? The first non-mutant to know the truth, and they totally accept you. So Alisons Secret might have been fooling the average person, but the US government are sneaky little bastards. Alison was whisked away by Project Pegasus and put under a series of horrible tests. While there, Alison took notice of Claw and Solar, who were also being tested on. Through these tests, Pegasus managed to find out that Alison had no natural limit to her abilities, so by all means, she could be the most powerful mutant to ever exist. Soon after all of this, Alison saw Pegasus putting Claw under some really horrible and painful looking tests. Alison turned horribly violent against everyone who was involved with Pegasus and managed to free Claw, but Claw, being the villain that he is, started using his power on Alison, and not realizing that Alison's power is the ability to turn sonic energy into light, and she absorbed him! She tried to stop the process, but she couldn't. And now unable to deal with the fact that she has just killed another person, she used the energy that she had just absorbed from Claw to break out. However, because she absorbed another living being, it was so powerful that she managed to get the attention of Galactus, who then whisked her away. Galactus planned to use Alison to save his herald, Terrax. He gave her the power cosmic, which was a source of unlimited sound energy, so she could create as much light as she wanted, and she was told, enter that black hole and save Terrax. And she did! And she managed to save him, and then she was returned to Earth. I really do feel like that this is one of the key moments with Dazzler. Like, imagine if she was given the power of the Phoenix, and she was able to turn thought waves into light. She would literally have unlimited power from any sentient being then. Seriously, Marvel needs to do more with her. Like, if you expanded on her powers even a little bit, she could possibly defeat the Phoenix, or become another Phoenix.
It's super effective!
So a lot of you may be wondering, do we ever get to find out what happened to Alisons Mother? Yes. Yes, we do. Right now. So Alison's friend, Vanessa Tooks, found out that her vocal coach was actually Alison's mother. Turned out that Alison's mother had left Carter for a man called Nick. Never trust a Nick. She'd also degenerated into being a horrible drug addict. The relationship with Nick was incredibly abusive, and eventually she managed to leave Nick, but she went under the name Barbara London, and she followed Alison's career right from the beginning. She was never able to face her daughter because she was so guilty about leaving her all those years ago. Vanessa convinced Alison's mother to attend Alison's Carnegie Hall performance. At the same time, Alison's father decided, you know what, I'm gonna go see her performance and try and reconnect with my daughter. After the performance, it was like the perfect family reunion. Alison's father managed to get a new understanding for his daughter that he had never had before, and Alison was finally able to reconnect with the mother that she had always longed for.
It's super effective!
So you have to keep in mind, through everything that we've talked about so far, Alison's being a mutant has been a total secret to everyone who's not a mutant. So how did her being a public mutant come about? So a man named Roman was asking Alison out to dinner. A lot. He wanted her to star in his upcoming movie. However, we could all tell, and so could Alison, that he just wanted to touch butts with our Dazzler. Eventually, Alison agreed to go out to dinner with him, and she ended up agreeing to star in his movie and in a relationship with him. So Alison became very used to the wealthy socialite lifestyle. She gained a little bit of unwanted weight. She became very spoilt. And she let Roman in on her mutant secret. Roman managed to find financial backing for his movie from a wealthy Hollywood elite called Eric Beale. Eric had been pursuing Alison for a very long time in the sexual side of things. But because of all of this, Dazzler the movie was born, highlighting the ups and downs of her adventures and was going to show the world just what mutants had to offer. Roman managed to convince Alison to come out to the world as a mutant as a PR stunt. Against her better judgment, she agreed to do so because she was in love. Several jet engines were lined up and they were going to be the sound supply for Alison's light. However, when it came time to use her ability, it backfired, scaring all the onlookers. Back at the hotel, Alison and Roman were attacked by anti-mutant groups. During a private screening of the movie, a riot broke out, and soon after, Alison was called into Eric's office, and he was only going to agree to release the movie if Alison agreed to become Eric's sole creative object, when the reality of the situation was that he just wanted to own Alison to touch her butt. Needless to say, Alison refused, and she destroyed the only known copy of the movie, along with all the contracts that she had ever made with Roman. After this, Alison just said, you know what, I'm done, and she decided that she was gonna go and leave to repair her life. After a series of events, Alison would go on to join the X-Men. This gave her many life experiences, such as learning how to work in a team, and learning to forgive after having to work with Rogue, who had tried to kill her in the past. She would also go on to fake her death to the whole world. But Faust, how does one fake their death to the whole world? Well. So while at Forge's pizza place in Dallas, the X-Men were attacked by the Freedom Force. Spiral magically placed the Mask of Destiny on Alison's face and stabbed it with a dagger, causing chaos to literally break loose out of a rift in the sky. On top of that, because of the magic surrounding the city, Alison couldn't take the mask off, which essentially left her blind. After gaining access to the Starlight Citadel, the X-Men gave their lives to stop the chaotic entity known as the Adversary. Fortunately, the Omniversal Guardian, Roma, saw the X-Men give their lives, And she was kind of like, hey, those guys are cool. And she brought them back. But it turned out their deaths were broadcast to the whole world, but when they came back, electronic equipment couldn't detect them. So they decided to go underground because now they were essentially invisible to their enemies. They kept their rebirth a secret, only to resurface when they hit Australia. At this point, the Omniversal Guardian Roma would come to them again and give them the gem, the Siege Perilous. This gem created a portal and allowed whoever walked through a second chance at life. New car, new house, new friends, new everything. After this, Dazzler's appearances will gradually die down in the 1990s, and then it'll be rare to even see her in the 2000s. I think this is really sad, because we've seen this character go from a simple commercial commission by Casablanca into this fantastic, well-rounded character with such a touching backstory. She's a Lightbringer, and I think we need to see her happy ending. She just wants to see happiness for everyone else, and I think she deserves that for herself.
It's super effective!
Alright guys, that's it for today. Remember to subscribe and thumbs up this video. Also click all the social links I have put in the description. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it's super effective.